So have you got a Christmas jumper for every day of the season?
No.
Or are you going to wear the same one until it's in time?
I got like 2 more that I can wear, so I'll be fine. But like, I sat through the shit that was Halloween, and now that it's the 1st of December, fucking I'm in, you know? It's Christmas, Dale! Go!
The shit that was Halloween. Dale's just like, no, I don't like the spooky things. I want the snow and the cute...
Just winds... It's a holiday that winds me up, because everyone's like, oh, I'm so spoopy. They'd run at the first sign of anything scary. It's like, oh! Do you know what I mean? Like, I know how to fight ghosts. I'd be scared, but I'd know how to defend myself. They'd be like, oh, no, let me throw some crystals at you.
Haven't we already established that rather than fighting ghosts, you would be the first one to run away?
I'd be gone, but I'd still try to defend myself if I had to. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I have to punch a little kid ghost, I will. Fucking oh, shit.
That does look slightly...
Podcast. Talking about gaming shit that will never last.
Welcome everyone to UnCapt Gaming's podcast, where our jingle is not what you just heard Dale singing. We will pay someone professionally if we have to have a jingle. I'm Phil Dickens, as ever. I am joined by Lloyd Frangos and Dale Hooper, the latter of whom was just singing. Is singing the right word? I don't know.
Considering this goes up on Spotify, and I was just singing on Spotify, does that mean I'm a musician now?
No.
Technically.
No.
Oh,
you haven't. You're too tone deaf. But I didn't even know we were recording, so I was what I was doing.
I always press record ages before, just so in case I can catch any kind of gold nuggets for the show, because I'm always thinking.
That's bad. That's just like
that. Can you get arrested for that? You can get arrested for that. Yeah, that's a crime, man.
That's a crime, Phil.
None of us agreed to this. The last 30 seconds haven't been agreed to. So.
I was singing in complete confidence, Phil.
It's off the record, right? Everyone who's listening to this, that obviously hundreds of millions of people just forget that you heard that. But we are talking
to me and you guys.
We are talking today about games that got us into gaming as our main topic. But before that, we're going to stay before we travel back in time. We're going to stay in the present to talk about what we're playing this week. What games have captured your attention this week? And we'll start with Lloyd.
Oh, okay. So in the TARDIS today, in the present day, I played Berserk Boy, which is a like retro inspired platformer game it's published by Big Sugar. The dev is called Berserk Boy Games. And yeah, that's been loads of fun. I played the demo of that, and then there was Slender Threads as well, which is another demo I played, which is a horror click and point game, which me and Dale were talking about, and I was kind of like, I don't have the patience for a click and point game, but then I kind of realised it was like when do you know when like you go downstairs and your mum's like watching a soap, and you sit down for like 5 minutes, and next thing you know, like 4 hours has passed, and you're completely hooked, and you want to know what's gone on. That was me in this game. So I was hooked on that. That was loads of fun, and yeah, and obviously the Steam festivals happened, so I bought Blue Fire and Inscription to play this week, and so I can't get into them.
So lots of stuff there to keep you occupied for a good while, in case.
Yeah.
In case we wonder where you've gone, what rabbit hole you've buried yourself in.
And I've still got Pokemon and Jurassic World to play as well. So, because I got to mention them every podcast now until the end of the year. So, yeah, that's where they're going to be mentioned today.
Fair enough. And on the subject of Jurassic World, is that still what you're playing, Dale, or have you moved on?
I am a man of habits. So yeah, just Jurassic World. Quite a bit of Halo. And have I played anything else this week? It's been dissertation week for me, so I've been playing in like procrastination, promising myself to write like 200 words and then playing like 3 hours and then 200 words, and it's not working so well, but It is what it is.
It might supposed to be the other way around, where you play for like 30 minutes and then write 500 words rather than...
No one said the most effective way of that Pomodoro effect. I'm just using it. I was told wrong, and that's what I was doing. But
you used it backwards.
45-minute game in 20.
Instructions were not clear, okay? So I do not know. But no, it's been Jurassic World Evolution 2, Halo, a touch of Apex I played, and then I've actually just started Planet Zoo again. So
nice.
Something new. Same vein as most of my things, but yeah, I bought the Penguin DLC. It's not solely the Penguin DLC, but it has penguins, and I want to build
the
Antarctic.
The Antarctic DLC.
No, it's not. The Antarctic doesn't have penguins, actually.
It's the other one then. Well,
it's the
Arctic.
That's what confused me, because I was like, the Antarctic, I'll get some penguins. And then they were on a different one, and I was like, okay. And then another one had like otters and beavers, and I was like, well, of course I'm going to put otters and beavers in my park. Yeah. So
I forgot how big penguins were.
Massive.
They're massive. We went to the zoo in Prague because let's just go to the zoo, and I stood next to them, and I know like they were raised up a bit, but I was like, holy shit,
they probably take. They throw a punch or two. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to shy away.
They'll give you a slap.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with a penguin.
What about you, Phil? What have you been playing?
Well, other than as we know, I'm currently trying to train myself to do this whole game permadeath on Last of Us 2, but two other ones I've because it came out on PlayStation Now, I downloaded myself Celeste, and I don't know where it's last. I'm not sure how many chapters there are. It feels like I'm getting towards the end of it, although that's 2,000 odd deaths in, because that is a punishing game as far as every time I play it, like for 2 or 3 hours, then I come out and I just end up like sort of having to exercise my wrists just because pressing different buttons, particularly on that wind section where you just have to constantly hold right and as the wind's pushing you back just to get through. It don't have to take it out here. So I've been doing that, and I've also had a bit of a playthrough of Resident Evil 2 remake just because get myself in the spirit for it'll be already out in the UK by the time this airs, but as we're recording before that, Friday, when Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City hits cinemas, and I've obviously heard mixed things. There's people who love it, people who hate it, but I'm quite optimistic. So, I mean, to be honest, all my optimism is based on the fact that it's not the previous franchise of Resident Evil films.
Oh, great. What are you on about?
Let's not start the fight there.
Have you seen the meme? Have you seen the meme with the Christmas truck and the Umbrella Corporation truck? Where it's like, every year we expect this truck and it's like the Coca-Cola truck. And then underneath this year, the truck we're getting is, and it's the Umbrella Corporation truck. It tickled me a bit, and I thought of you, Phil, straight away. I should have shared it with you, but I didn't, because, I got distracted by something else.
you thought of me, but you didn't share it with me.
I'm an awful human being.
I do that a lot, and then I speak to the person, I'm like, oh, did you see that? They're like, no. I was like, oh, did I not share it with you? Like, no, I thought of you, so I was hoping that it...
Like psychic transference. But no, it's good that people see the truck with the logo of a company which makes dangerous biohazardous bioweapons and thinks of me.
Talking about video game challenge, Phil, because we were speaking about this yesterday, I think, weren't we? With you doing the Last of Us 2 thing. And practicing the thing. You were doing the thing. I've been doing Jurassic World on like hard and Jurassic difficulty, which is like its end thing. And I watch a streamer, right, called Small Ant. I don't know if any of you have heard of Small Ant. No. His whole thing is he was a speedrunner of. I'm not sure if he started Mario Odyssey, but that's where I saw him. And he does all like beat Pokemon without using any damaging attacks or beat Pokemon without taking any damage at all and stuff like that. But I saw him, right? He did this about 2-3 years ago. Beat Super Mario Odyssey blindfolded the entire game. So we need to up our games.
I know
you
him.
you know,
I
yeah,
know him now,
yeah.
Yeah, I know him.
Just I don't understand how people are so good at things.
Yeah, it's just two things you need there that neither of us have. It's patience and ability to learn. None of us have that, I think.
I've reached a point, like, not anymore because I've fell out of practice until I kind of reloaded it this week, but I was at one point, I played enough of Resi 2 to know there were certain points where I got these speedrun strategies down. You know which way to turn, and you could run past a bunch of enemies without taking any damage if you made sure you hit the right point. But again, I needed the visual cues for all that. The idea of doing that all purely based on just muscle memory and audio cues is...
It's not like it's a 2D game. You'd imagine a 2D game might be a bit easier, but it's 3D, and like things go. You've got to aim at things and stuff. Oh, it baffled me. Anyway, sorry. You brought up the no death run, and it sparked that in my mind. So, if anyone wants to be ashamed of how bad they are at video games, go check him out.
Just for clarity, I will not be playing any version of The Last of Us 2 with a blindfold on. Although,
please do, Phil.
Apparently the accessibility options are that good. That was like the first game. There was a blind gamer, I can't remember his name, but it made the news. Like, that was the first game he was able to play like completely without having any sighted help because of the accessibility options.
That's amazing.
Is it a streamer by any chance? Is it?
Possibly.
No. I'm thinking of someone else.
It was someone it wasn't just like a random person, it was someone who's known as a gamer as far as I'm aware. Not someone I'd heard of, which is why I can't remember the name. But it was doable. But again, that's doesn't mean that I'm going to put a blindfold on anytime soon.
I think you should.
If you want to see Phil do it, make sure you comment and let us know, because I think he should. Peer pressure. It's how we all do.
We should have a peer pressure meter.
Just how much me and Lloyd are pressuring Phil into doing something.
Finish him.
If we get 1,000 subscribers before Christmas, then I will give it one go blindfolded.
Right, I'm making 1,000 accounts.
Quickly. How to buy...
Pass me, Phil.
But anyway, I'm going to move this on just so that we're not peer pressuring me to do horrible challenges.
I think you should.
And now we are going to go back in time because, like, say, we're talking about games that got us into gaming. So, I mean, I suppose that the most obvious place to start is, what's the first game that you remember playing? Not the first game that you enjoyed, the first game that you remember playing. Like, it depends how good your memory is. It might be last week, but what's your first one?
I think mine was Pokemon Blue.
Yeah.
On the Game Boy. Because I can remember sitting outside, and this was before I had the cable. My mum would never buy me the cable because I wasn't allowed friends. So I used to sit on the windowsill on the outside because there was enough room on the window, and I can remember like sitting there, and my mate would be next to me, and we'd be playing. And obviously, because wireless wasn't a thing back in the 90s, so we couldn't do that. So we used to just sit there and like basically race each other to the first gym over and over again.
So you were a speedrunner at your youth.
I was a speedrunner at the age of like 6. Don't know what happened, but but yeah, we used to race, and that was quite fun.
Funny, interesting point that I don't think you ever know, Lloyd, is the first Pokemon game. When I first played Pokemon, I got a Game Boy Color, and it was alongside Silver, so I was quite far behind. Yeah, I must have been middle of primary school, maybe, when I got that. Yeah,
I was like it would have been like year 4, no, like year 3, 2. Oh, I can't remember. I don't know. How old are you in primary school? I don't even know. I can't remember primary school. Yeah, below 10.
I think you are quite young. It's not something you do in your teens.
But yeah, I remember those moments quite profoundly because it was also when I got into the TCG as well. But my memories of the TCG wasn't wasn't that. It was going, I choose you and throwing the card at my mate. Because, rules didn't count as a kid. So I would have probably been a king if I was actually playing properly then. But yeah, I remember that quite fondly. And I also, sorry, I'm rambling now, but I also remember playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And bringing in my Yu-Gi-Oh! Set and just beating everyone. And that was like in year 6. Everyone was like, this kid's a nerd. Like, he's bringing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. And I was like, I'm the Don. But yeah. That's the first game I remember.
And it's, because this was one of the reasons I thought to ask it, because that's a game that I think it's probably fair to say, because you've obviously continued playing that franchise, that's something you go back to rather than like some sort of random very first thing that you never touched again.
Yeah, I think that's why I remember it so profoundly, is because like the games are all quite similar, so like the memories just kind of drilled itself back in over the years. But because like I think I owned some like. I can't remember. I don't even know if there was a Metroid for the Game Boy. I don't think there was, but I probably owned something like that. Because, yeah. But my uncle had a Nintendo 64. And I remember playing one of the Metroids on that. I can't remember which one. But, yeah, there's a couple of other games I had with it. But I can't remember them. But like I said, Pokemon, I remember quite thing. Probably because it was the only one that I played with friends. As a lonely child. Get my little violin out.
World's tiniest violin goes off.
I'm crying on the inside.
I'm more upset that you had friends before me, but okay.
Well, now that since Lloyd's brought us to tears with his sad story of a lonely childhood, let's have something more uplifting from you, Dale, please. Cheer us up.
So it's weird because I know I played games very young. Because my dad used to play games, with me. I used to watch him a lot. But my first memory of games, and it's not me playing, so this is a little bit of a cop out, is watching my dad play through the entirety of the first Lara Croft, the first Tomb Raider game. That's my earliest memory of video game. I know I've played stuff before because I'm pretty sure it was my PlayStation. But I cannot remember what I used to play. I just know that's the first memory I had. And I remember that when my brother was born, he was at home with me and my sister. And that's all we did. That's all we did because my mum wasn't home, and we watched him play video games all day. And it sounds bad, but it was absolutely amazing because we just got to eat whatever we want, chill out next to him, and just watch him get beat by a T-Rex. I'm pretty sure there was one when he run. Yeah, there's one run around and there was like an underwater dragon or serpent or something.
Was that the original one with the T-Rex?
I don't know.
I don't think it was.
T-Rex and there were T-Rex and Raptors in Tomb Raider 1, and then I think it was 2 that had the dragon, which is where you became a dragon by stabbing yourself in the heart with it. I may have played these quite a lot.
I do not remember that. I remember the dragon. I remember him doing the dragon bit, but that's my first
gaming memory.
Yeah, first gaming memory, and I think my other strongest is Pokemon. But Pokemon Yellow is my strong one.
Oh,
I got my Game Boy Color for my birthday. And I remember going into town with my dad and my mum to GameStop. Was it GameStop back in the day? Old. And they had like a little pre-owned cartridge section, and my dad picked up like Pokemon Red, Yellow, and I had Silver as a kid. And I got all them, and I remember we were staying at my nan's at the time, and my nan had, in the guest bedroom, she had a bed, but there was like a light above it, so I could play it constantly, and my brother and sister were in there, but they shut up because I was training to be a master, so they had to just sit and live with the light on while I was awake.
Should we explain GameStop for the young uns?
Oh god, it's just game. It's game. But
it's game, but it was like the original Kex or Sex or however I would pronounce it.
It wasn't it?
Yeah, it was literally the original. Yeah,
and I can remember
go in and just trade in all your games.
I can remember exactly what it was in town as well. It's by where the Costa is in St. David's. It is, and it's your face.
It's there. I can remember
because then it moved across the road, didn't it, for a bit, and then it went. But yeah, they're my earliest memories of that, and then because Spyro must have been before me playing Pokemon, because I remember playing Spyro and getting frustrated at a mission where you had to like fly and move. And I'm a rager. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not so much now, but back then I was. And I remember my mum, who doesn't game, come in out of nowhere and beat the level for me, and then told me to shut up and just carry on with the game. And I was like, thanks. She was my
respect
hero.
for your mum has just gone up.
You beat it first time. No effort. No nothing. Just come in like it was nothing. And I was just like,
you know, 100% she like practiced that beforehand on the basis of this seems to be giving him trouble. This will be funny.
She had her own memory stick and everything. When we went to bed, she'd put hers in and continue with her saves. That's another. I see Lloyd's face going.
Do you remember risking it and playing with no memory stick?
I did for Spyro 2, and my mum and dad let me leave the PlayStation on for the entire time. Got to the end mission, and my sister stood on the restart button.
No,
Lauren, if you're out there, I have still not forgiven you.
Sorry, I feel like I'm just taking like I'm talking lots, but you got me excited. But yeah, I remember playing the Spider-Man on PS1. I had it over my nan's, and I had no memory stick. And we say memory stick, memory card, wasn't it? And I would, because I only went over there on like a Saturday, and I'd stay over on the night, and I would like, so I'd leave it. I'd try my hardest to leave it on, but I would always get stuck on the Scorpion fight for ages.
Oh,
yeah, and I just remember leaving that on, trying my hardest. My nan would come up and she'd be like, "What are you wasting my electric bill for?" And I'm like, "No." Yeah.
See, I have been staying quiet through a lot of this just because, like, while you're sitting there and going, "Oh, we'll have to explain these things for the kids," and thinking, obviously, I'm older than the pair of you, and that whole thing of having to, like, if you got when you go into school, leaving the gate, leaving Sega Mega Drive as it was for me, paused all day and hoping that in the meantime your mum hadn't noticed it and turned it off so you could carry on where you were up to. That was a daily struggle for me. That was often so like by the time we got to the PlayStation came out and there were memory cards, that was just like a whole other world had opened up and all this sort of stuff. So that was like brand new awe-inspiring section. It was like, oh my god, we can save games now. But yeah, I'm going to go back a bit. As far as my earliest memory of games, like before the PlayStation, and I'm not that old, you cheeky shit.
Oh, sorry.
It's going to sound like it when I explain it, but I promise I am still a millennial and not a boomer.
Sorry, Phil. Before you carry on, do you know like the Nintendos? You could save on the cartridge, can you?
You could, and then I think later on the Mega Drive, like Sonic 3, for example, was the first one of them you could actually save on.
Okay.
But
so you couldn't save at all on the Mega Drive? Because I've never owned a Mega Drive, so
you might have to explain to the kids what a Mega Drive is.
Explain to me. Explain to the 27-year-old child. I'm not quite 28 yet.
Always ticking.
Well, we're gonna
15 more days.
we're gonna go further back because before all that happened, the first console I actually had was my dad got a second-hand Commodore 64 off his brother, and this had games that were on cartridge, but it also had games that were on cassette tape. That's how old the thing it was, and it was in black and white. The little telly screen that came with it. I think he still got it in the garage or something. Like I need to get it off him just to see what it's like now. But there were two like the earliest games I remember playing on there. One was a game called Jack Attack, which was like a little platformer where you play as what can only be described as basically a sentient space hopper, and you have to kind of jump around and bounce on the heads of other sentient space hoppers to kill them. And once you've killed them all, you clear a level. And every time you jump on top of one, the noise that the game made was... So if every single time So that was fun. And then the other one was I think the oldest version of Sensible Soccer I have ever seen in my life. Old enough that if you manage to like get the ball up, the ball being 1 pixel, like a tiny square, and get the two players close enough together, it would just bounce off the two heads back and forth endlessly if you didn't move them. Those are my very, very earliest gaming memories. And like I say, that there was other games, like there was a Popeye game, and this was on a cassette.
Popeye?
On a cassette. Nothing in this was anything that had continued through. Like once I got Mega Drive, it was Sonic. Once I got PlayStation, it was Resident Evil. This was all just completely random things. But yeah, that's what my formative years in.
New Year to year first, Phil wants Popeye remastered.
I was just thinking about it then, because like, do you know we got like so many franchises now? Like when the gaming consoles must have like first came out, it must have just been a luck of the dip, like sort of thing, whether you picked up a good game or not. If that makes sense, because like, do you know how like we can like look at something and kind of go, oh, that reminds me of this. But like when the games first came out, obviously it wasn't the first console, but like, you know, because you said about like the random games you had and stuff.
Well, it was. I mean, you were talking about GameStop and stuff. The other thing was like going to Blockbuster and renting games, because that was the only way you could play more than like 2 or 3 games a year. Because you get a game for Christmas, you get a game for your birthday if you were lucky, and that was kind of it. Whereas, you know, being an adult and being able to like buy games month to month through the year and that sort of thing is definitely a privilege compared like.
I don't know. My wallet doesn't think so.
But yeah, like I feel like we played. I don't know if you agree. Feels like you played loads more games back then, but at the same time, you had access to a lot less because you couldn't just go and buy that. Like where we were saying on the last podcast, we were talking about games that come out this year. We go, I haven't played that. I haven't played that. I haven't played that. I think that was probably every single year while I was a kid, when I was at the mercy of my parents' wallet rather than my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think something that people forget now is lending games to each other. Remember that?
Yeah, that was
bringing a game in and borrowing it to your mate for their game. And
yeah, my favorite was I lent Oblivion to Jay actually, and he made me go over and complete it for him just for the game to score. And I was like, so like I can remember. Sorry, Phil. we will get to you. I promise. I'm so sorry. But like he rang me up. I lent him the game, and he's like, "Oh, I'm about halfway through." And he explained the bit. I think it was like Broomer or something. And I was like, "Bro, you're nowhere near the end." And he was like, "I can't be asked. Can you come over and complete it for me?" I was like, "Yeah,
yeah."
So I went over and completed it for him. So sorry, go on. I'll shut up
No,
now.
that's. I mean, it's kind of. I don't know. I mean, presumably there must be like kids must still have similar experiences, but in different ways. But there was always that thing, like if you took a game round to your mates, or they had a console that you didn't, and you were all sort of sitting there waiting for your turn, and then they'd be playing and go, "Oh, you've died, give us, go now, give us," and like that sort of thing, and just, or I suppose in your case, stay with like your brother and stuff, and sort of fighting over the controller.
You know, this is another. I'm calling him out as well, my brother. Like I'm calling everyone out on this podcast. I had Halo 3 and an Xbox 360, and for the first 3 months of having that console, I wasn't allowed that console because it was easier to let him go on there than him kick up a fuss. Liam, you've ruined my beginning Xbox 360 career. I hope you know this. He was a nightmare. He's still a nightmare, but you know,
not as bad.
Not as bad. He's a bit more funny now, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Do you know one thing I miss from those games? I kind of miss, but I kind of am thankful for how easy it is now. It's just co-op. It's like split screen co-op. I do kind of miss that because I don't think the last memory of split screen co-op I had was Portal 2 with you, Lloyd. Remember that?
Yeah.
and we were going to actually murder each other because he just wouldn't place the stuff where it was meant to go. And GLaDOS kept going, "Oh, Lloyd, you're doing amazing." And I was the one doing it. And I was like, "What are you on about, GLaDOS? Stop this."
She ruined friendships.
She did. That's an experience. You know what I mean? Like, I come down yours, you rent a different Blockbuster, didn't you? And
Yeah.
you know, your mum got us takeout, and we just sat there all day and beat that. And I'm pretty sure we watched Rec afterwards, and that might have ruined us. That was the worst thing we'd ever done.
I've never moved so fast when I put Over the Edge on after that.
Over the edge. Yeah, I do miss those memories, but I think they're done now, you know? That was quite a niche little area that I'm kind of thankful the multiplayer online is about, you know? Because it's easier to jump in with your mates.
Yeah, I was racking my brain then to think of any kind of good, memorable split-screen co-op stuff, because even, like, the old Sonic games, for example, the split-screen... Oh, I really thought we were going to sneeze then. The split-screen version, like, was nowhere near as good as the actual main game. It was easier to just kind of play the thing and then take turns or whatever, rather than have this, like, especially on the TVs back then, this tiny little box, and just it was always like a poorly rendered level by comparison. I suppose there was like racing games where you had the split screen was vertical and you were just like side by side that way, and things like
Halo 2 I did a lot with my brother. Halo 2, maybe Halo 3. Well, we would have done Halo 3 together as well. But we did. But they were a struggle to play split screen. They were so hard to play.
Or if you got four-player split screen on like a Mario Kart or something, and it was just like four tiny.
Damn it, kids! Be thankful you didn't have to go through that.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's fair to say that those moments are done though, because I don't think games like Mario Kart would, and like those sort of like
I suppose so.
Smash Bros and stuff.
But then I guess
they can kind of flex between online and offline.
Although if you've tried to play Smash online, it's not.
I haven't played it online.
It's not.
Then it is again.
And obviously, It Takes Two did quite well as far as that
saying that, I think you're right. I think they do work, but I think it's a very niche thing now. You know.
I think like the relationship between like friendships in school are now different from when we were growing up, perhaps.
Yeah.
So but like I don't know, because like I know obviously like my sister's younger and stuff. Like when she was younger, she had quite a few sleepovers and stuff. So I don't know. Like I can remember like we just like go on a Saturday and we'd be like, oh, you know, do you want to come over and play some games or whatever? But
I'd imagine sleepovers are dead now, right now. But like,
it's a school night.
Do you bring your shut up? Do you bring your console over? Like I used to do that. Where did I used to bring my console? My cousins. I bring it over yours once or twice.
Yeah, and Jay's. I remember.
And Jay's, yeah.
So
we used to have little LAN parties at mine when my parents went away.
But like those like sort of moments, like I would love to do again. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't think it's fair to say that they're done. I think they're just not going to happen as frequent as they did when we were younger.
Yeah, and I think kids may have a different experience now because everything is online. Because I noticed with me entirely, I don't know if you noticed growing up, but as soon as I started playing COD and stuff, and it was all online, and all my friends were online, I wasn't really interested in taking my console somewhere.
No,
I was there. I could just go and play with someone because they'd be online. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
So that's I've got to be honest. That online experience was never one, because as I think we've mentioned before, I never really played the online games as much as the single player stuff. And my main experience of it sort of would be like when I was still at home, like listening into my brother's room, and we walk past and he's playing, I don't know, FIFA or something, and as soon as someone's beating him, you just hear him start swearing and tell them how they're crap at the game, and just this like angry voice behind it, just like, oh well, he's losing the footy again.
me and your brother would be friends. Oh.
But
I just had a memory. I just had a memory.
I was going to say, I didn't want to go off on a tangent about my rages and stuff. What's your memory?
I remember I was playing your brother, and he was like Newcastle, and I was Accrington Stanley, and I scored from the halfway line. I'll never forget that. And he just turned the console off.
Oh, damn.
Sorry, again.
I'm just roasting people around me now. Anyone that's my friend and family, don't listen to this because we're just roasting everyone around me.
Well, I'm gonna pull it back away from just attacks on Dale's family. But I mean, we've kind of branched into that anyway. But like, because we started from talking, like the first game I remember playing was very different from the games that I remember as far as games that I suppose shaped my view of what made a good game, what made a bad game, and stuff like that. So, I mean, what was for you, like the games or franchises or the kind of you think of, and they're the ones you think, yeah, so that's the benchmark by which you define stuff that you want to play more. It's not a test. I can see the panic in Lloyd's eyes going, can I think of this? Can I think of something? But so Dale, do you want to chip in?
Dale's got something.
Lloyd, Phil, guess. Guess what game? No, wait, what? No. What? You threw me off. Dynasty Warriors 9. Oh my lord. Oh my lord.
But did that shape the view of what is a bad game? Or was it just a bad game? Because all
right, now you got me thinking philosophical. Okay,
I'm just because Phil's question was, did it shape your view? I don't know, because you like to complain about a bad game.
Oh, I love to complain about a bad game. But it's thinking about what was one of the first bad games that proper made me think, holy, this is bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Brink
was a good example for both of us because we were both excited to play that, weren't we?
Yeah.
And we played it, and I think we both resold it within a day. Remember selling games?
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah. I think
Brink endless backlog.
If it's personal, I think one of the games that threw me out and made me think about story a bit more was Assassin's Creed Black Flag. That was one of the, and that's a very controversial thing, but I'm not a big fan of the story and the lead up into Black Flag, and I think that was one of the points that made me think more about the narrative a game was telling. I'm not saying that it's bad, because a lot of people love it, but what I was expecting and what I got were two different things, and it kind of shaped. I don't know. I think that's an early memory of something that shaped into a. Because it's not a bad game. It's not. It's probably one of the best Assassin's Creeds. I think that's a fair thing to say. It's just I'm not a big fan of it, and it opened my eyes in that sense, I think.
It's definitely subjective because I mean the kind of examples I'd use would be like when I got into PlayStation and sort of got past the Sonic the Hedgehog era where everything was Sonic and anything that wasn't Sonic wasn't to be entertained. But like the game franchise I was playing at that time, so there were three big ones: were Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid, and that kind of. They were all different in their own ways, but all of them were single player. They had the story to them that you could follow along to. Different levels of intensity and whatever, and sometimes, in the case of Metal Gear, very, very batshit crazy. And third person and that sort of thing as well. So I got used to a certain type of game, and that was the sort of stuff. So when you like through. I think even now I'm still not as used to first person stuff as I would because that's never been as much stuff that I play. I've kind of got a bit of a thing about where I definitely still kind of prefer to be able to see the character I'm playing as and doing that. And that was also back in the day of like fixed and cinematic camera angles, so you didn't control the camera. So that took some getting used to as well. Once they introduced being able to move the camera around yourself, then I was just like, what is this sorcery?
I'd have to go with Oblivion because it was the first game that, like, it kind of it was the first game where I was actually thinking of good and bad. Like, I'm saying good game. Why are you getting so offended?
Okay, sorry,
It's a good game.
What?
But it was like it's the first game where I actually like started to think of games as like good and bad. Like, do you know what I mean? Because it was such a great game. Like before that, and like the PS2, I would play anything, and like I'd play it for hours. Do you know what I mean? But because Oblivion was the first game that I saw of that generation, and it was the first time that I was like, in a weird way, like mature enough to understand what a great game was, and to suck me in. It's this. I don't know. It's a weird. I know.
No, that's it. I like that. I like that approach to it actually, because it's hard to subjectively be like, oh, this was the first bad game that kind of I noticed and think. But I think if you're going off that logic, I think for me it's probably Mario 64 was the first time I was like, damn, this is something. And then things that I played, like I remember when I had a 64, my mum got me a Pokemon, like one of those games where like you gotta swap jewels and it makes like a row of 4 and then they disappear and more drop down.
Tetris.
Not Tetris, but kind of Tetris.
Yeah, I don't know.
Blitz, I think it's called, or something like that. It was like that. It was called Pokemon Puzzle something. And I played that a lot, and then I got Mario 64, and I remember going from that to the puzzle game, and I was like, oh damn, this is not good. This is boring. This is bad. So I think, that's a good logic to apply, actually.
Yeah, I think it was the first, because I remember like just being in complete awe at how good the graphics were, and like it was because like I played Simpsons Hit and Run, and for what it was, like, and that's a great game. Like, and it because I always thought Hit and Run was like a good game, but I can't remember anything before Oblivion that I would subjectively say was I thought was a bad game. So I think, but yeah, like I think that for me,
I'm impressed by your logic.
I got to stop reading philosophy again. But I think that for me was the big change. I think.
Yeah, flip that on the head then, Phil. What was the first game that you objectively thought, "Oh, this is a good game"?
I mean, I think thinking about it based on what Lloyd said, I was definitely more easily impressed as a kid, because it like struggles to think of something that I think of and say that was a bad game, that wasn't any good. Even back to the era of playing like Popeye on tape.
Was it a good game though?
Well, I definitely kept going back to it more than once, so I think it entertained me at least. Whether it's good is a different matter. I'd have to like replay that, which is a strangely daunting prospect. But yeah, I think that the first one that I like genuinely like. I mean, as I've mentioned before, like at the point of when I had the Mega Drive, I was fiercely like everything Sonic. I'd absolutely devoured that stuff because I was playing the games, I'd read the comics, watched the cartoons, and all this sorts of stuff. But I think this probably wasn't the first like where I started thinking of games like this is a masterpiece, this has got great storytelling and stuff like that. That come later, but I think when you got Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, which are two set, and then you combine them together to create Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which was like, I think the game as it was intended, but they had to deliver it as two separate games with a combinable cartridge. And then
combinable cartridges? Wait, what?
Yeah, you open the top of Sonic and Knuckles, stuck Sonic 3 on the top, and it became its whole the full game as intended. That was definitely, I think, probably one of those first experiences where you're like, wow, welcome to the future.
DLC?
I was just literally going to say that. I was literally just going to say that.
Was that like first thing EA saw to market all of their games now? Yeah.
I mean, It was honestly
DLC.
incredible because Sonic and Knuckles playing that through was a good game, but Sonic 3 and Knuckles was the only one. Like you could save on Sonic 3, you could save on Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you couldn't save on Sonic and Knuckles because all the technology was in that first cartridge, so you had to combine them, and you could play it through, and it gave you extra game options and extra characters to play, a lot more story, and this extra final zone that you could only get by combining the two games. All this stuff was just like genuinely fantastic at the time, just like. And then on top of that, if you put Sonic 2 in Sonic and Knuckles, then you can play Sonic 2 as Knuckles. If you put Sonic 1 or any other random game, then you got this free sort of extra game. You have to enter a special code, but then you can play like infinite variations on the Blue Sphere special stage, just endlessly on it. It's just.
Do you reckon that's what Pokemon? Do you reckon that's what Pokemon was originally meant to be until they realized they could just sell two of the same thing with slightly different stuff?
Are we talking about Transformers or games? I don't know what's going on anymore. I feel like they're the mini-bot things that are attached to
Oh my god, do you remember the ones that went into like cassettes and you pull them out on airplanes and stuff? Oh, we're so old.
I know.
I mean, it's yeah, it genuinely like was, like I say, I think it was really groundbreaking because that was just took this one game that was good anyway and it turned it into this fantastic game, and then it also gave you all this lots of extra DLC effectively, well, not downloadable, so I suppose plug-inable content, so PLC.
This is kind of.
Oh, this is. Do you know what? It just sounds like the first unfinished game. That's what it sounds like. It just sounds like the one where they went, "Oh, we can sell this now. It's good enough."
Oh, listen,
and then they kind of went, "Oh, actually, let's sell the rest of it now."
Just put it out there, and then someone's like, "Oh, wait, we forgot this little bit," and it's like, "Oh, okay."
But
work on that for a little bit, and then we'll.
But the difference between Sonic 3 on its own and say Cyberpunk or the GTA remastered trilogy is that you play that on its own and it's good. And it's complete, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, okay. I'll see you later.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get a.
Phil's taking my controversy for the episode. Damn.
Yeah, Dale, you're not needed anymore.
I know. Damn, it's all right. We're now called capped because the unpart is gone. I don't know why I'm the unpart. That's crazy. That's hurt my brain slightly. Now I want to know what type of combinations you could do. Oh, lovely.
I will.
Sorry, everyone.
Obviously, I'm only extending this invitation to Dale and Lloyd rather than all our viewers or listeners, but I will happily show you if you next time you come round and we'll crack out Sonic and Knuckles and plug in and see what it does.
Is it like I don't know, when you buy toys and they're like, it's 100 different combinations of ways you can play it, but it's not. It's Sonic and Knuckles.
It's a connect set.
You can play Knuckles and Sonic and Knuckles.
Oh wow.
Suckles and Monic.
Okay, so next subject. Anyway, Dale's broken.
Anyway, before I finish rambling, I think an honourable mention and just kind of highlight Lloyd's earlier point about kids not, like, at a certain age, not really being as discerning of the quality of games. One of the games I remember renting out for the Mega Drive, which I really enjoyed at the time, but was objectively just not a good game, and it was a clear, cheap cash-in. There was a game called Cool Spot, which was entirely, basically, there were so many tie-in merchandise games, but this one wasn't a tie-in to a film like Jurassic Park or a TV show or whatever. This was a game where you got to play the Spot from the 7-Up logo and go through a series of levels.
I play that.
I'm not shitting you. That was real.
Brandon in the 80s.
I know I've read a bit about that era of games. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Was everyone was like, "Oh, you can make a game with my brand," and just did it. And that's the golden era of video games everywhere.
Yeah, no, we covered it in marketing, and then they were like, "Oh, this is a really cool idea," and now it's just like product placement and stuff in games. which
We have
we're going to
product
see
placement
more.
in games.
We're going to see more of it. Apparently, it might be a growing trend. So my tutor told me. I don't know. I haven't seen much of it.
I was going to say, I don't think I've seen much.
I haven't seen
product
it. I don't think I've seen
placement.
any. But I can imagine it being a thing eventually.
I guess Fortnite now, as much as I think Fortnite is incredible, is a massive product placement.
Yeah, that's a point.
For different things,
Yeah,
but it's incredible.
I think the thing is, when we talk about that, I just remember we don't think about other medias, do we? When we say that, when we think about it. So yeah, I guess we have. Yeah,
that's fair. We must have somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
There's the easy ones to pick, like football and the Forza games with cars, FIFA. Yeah, there's ones like that, but I bet you there is elsewhere. You know what I mean? And we just don't notice.
Like movies, it'll be more noticeable in some places than others, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Jurassic World Mercedes. I mean, Jurassic World. The first one.
I think we're so used to it as well because how much it's in films. So we're probably just so oblivious to it. So I don't know.
Maybe.
We're going to pick that up next time, and I'm going to make a list for the next podcast.
The most honourable mentions for product placement.
Boring is podcast in the world, but you know.
No, if you can find the most out of place product placement, like I don't know, a game about zombies, and there's
just a Coca-Cola
an advertisement for a funeral home or something.
There's a zombie drinking a bottle of Coca-Cola.
There are literally papers about the effectiveness of product placement in video games, so it must be there.
It's gotta be there.
We've just not seen it. I
can solve that paper. I can solve that paper right now. Bloody shit.
I know how I'm what's it called? I'm procrastinating from my dissertation tonight. Wait, I'm sorry.
So, whilst you, before we get onto a complete tangent, there, is there any other sort of examples of games that have shaped your view before we move on to kind of?
We've mentioned Dynasty Warriors.
Sorry, can I mention a game? This is still sidetracked with, but this is amazing. There was a Coca-Cola game, right, in which you shot the word Pepsi like Space Invaders. Oh, sorry.
No, that was worth sidetracking for, and
that's double product placement.
Yeah, just for some balance, here's a bottle of Pepsi Max.
I've just got my Starbucks.
I'm being healthy with a Monster.
Yeah, just for all those brands that have just had their products brought live on air, we'll accept our checks, or bank transfer, either way.
Yeah.
Just pay
We're
us.
great at doing product placement. If you want podcasts to do product placement, this is the one. This is the one.
I can occasionally throw
as long as it's a coffee
Motorola. Yeah. Just pick up my new Samsung. Oh wait, I have a mouse. Oh jeez.
So, is there any more games that we want to talk about in terms of shaping your views on games themselves, or do we think we've probably covered that area?
I think we've covered it.
I think we have, but I'd have an honourable mention for What Remains of Edith Finch. Because that was a game that I don't think I'd ever play, because it's just it's like a walking simulator, but a story, and it's one of my favourite games, but considering a lot of the gaming that I do is quite fast-paced, high-octane kind of gaming, that shaped that I could play slower games and still enjoy them. It doesn't have to be skill shots and making things look cool as hell. It can be slow, wound down. Yeah.
Well, on that point, I think still within getting games that get you into gaming, because this wasn't something that we kind of go on to next, but I think it probably fits in with the whole theme. Do you think it's easier to get to try more different games and games of that nature if you've either not played games before or if you've not played games for a while? Because this was something I think I mentioned before, when I the pandemic hit and I started gaming again after like a big massive hiatus, I ended up playing games which I never in a million years thought I would have played. Things like Beyond Two Souls and Detroit Become Human and all these stuff, which is just basically a narrative and you choose your own adventure stuff, which is not something I would have ever thought about picking up before that. Or like once you're into gaming, are you kind of set in your ways at that point, you think? And it's harder to break out into new things, try something different.
Go on.
I think it depends on what type of gamer you are.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
If you're like a competitive player, let's say you're focusing on like Call of Duty, I think although you can go into different games, your main focus is going to be Call of Duty, so you're going to sink a lot of time into that. Whereas if you're more casual like me, you're going to be like, let's try this game. Or even if you're into like just like indie games and like indie games or like smaller games and seeing things that are different, like you're going to be more open to new ideas. It's different mindsets, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I don't
know. I think you could literally just take what Lloyd said as what my answer was going to be,
Yeah.
but I think
Sorry.
No. It's, you read it in my mind. I think it depends on what your goal is with gaming and what your enjoyment is. If your enjoyment is to get lost, then you'll try a lot of things. But if your enjoyment is to be the best at something or just be very good at a competitive game, you're more likely to stick in those ways and stay with like. Because I know like a lot of COD players will now be switching to Halo because Halo's competitive scene is kicking right up.
Yeah,
they all want a bit of that.
There's a lot of like transferable skills between like FPSs, for example.
Yeah,
like I see it as like sports. It's like if you want to be a footballer, you're going to play football. You're not going to go and play hockey. Do you know what I mean? So that's the way I see it. But then again, if you're a casual footballer and you're going out for a kickabout with your mates, like you can still be really good at hockey. Do you know what I mean? It's that's the way I see it. But it's a weird analogy.
So do you think gamers have a preferred genre, and then we'll kind of branch out around that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I was thinking of it sort of like other forms of entertainment. So, and there's probably the degree of like whether you get more open-minded as you get older, or you're just exposed to different people who you hang around and stuff. Because like if you talk about books, for example, I'm pretty much the same. Like, there's the same type of stuff I'll read over. I'll read fantasy and horror and that sort of stuff. I'm not going to read, a historical romance, for example. Whereas things like movies, I will like as much as I like the action sci-fi stuff. I will happily devour stuff like Mean Girls and think that, which is completely.
Wait, are you trying to say that Mean Girls is not a sci-fi?
No, it's not. Based on true events, I heard.
I kind of get you, because I don't think, like, movies and TV shows, I'll watch whatever. Like, it does not bother me. And the same with books. Like, I've recently gone from reading, like, Terry Pratchett, loads of Terry Pratchett, to, like, I'm reading some bestseller by Matt Haig or something, The Midnight Library now. And they're just polar up. Well, I suppose they're fantasy, fiction, but I read whatever, and I think I'm dipping into that now in gaming.
I think the weird thing is there's like genres within genres within genres as well. So there's such an explanation within genres themselves.
There is,
and like it's crazy, and it just depends.
I don't
think you define it.
Depends how much investment because again, to use my example with books is like to read. Like, I mean, not that I'm reading at all at the moment because I just can't because for some reason. But like the level of investment to like go from reading like one type of book that you like to another, like sitting down and opening pages and reading all that is different than like turning on the telly and just sort of passively absorbing the information. And games is a lot less passive generally, although there are definitely popcorn games you can play without having to think about them and stuff compared to other ones which you'll have to put more time and effort into. I don't know. That's again, it probably depends what you're after, but I think that probably is a factor in it as well.
I think in gaming, Lloyd's right as well. There's like genres within genres. There's like, this is a first-person role-playing action shooter that's single player at one point, second player in the other. There's also a roguelike that's actually got Metroidvania things to it, and there's also got a bit of Civ building to it. Like, everything's just got everything now. I'd play that game. Don't know how that game would work, but I'd play it. I'd have a pop.
Yeah, it's just open-mindedness, really, and like, I think friendship groups and stuff play a big part of it, and just there's loads of different influential points and stuff. I think.
Do you know? Funny enough, and this is a bit of a not a tangent, but I've been doing my dissertation, and obviously, my dissertation is video game journalism, and I've been reading over my past works and my past stuff. And Lloyd, we were talking about Pokemon, and you mentioned that as a kid, if you weren't playing like Call of Duty and stuff, and you were playing something else, if you weren't playing the popular game, you were seen as weird.
Yeah.
And it's just something that you've said in the past that's like stuck with me, and it's like, yeah, like I was very much in that peer pressure group. If I wasn't the peer pressure, I was the peer pressure-y, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's strange.
Because you'll probably remember me in like high school and stuff. And it was like, you all would be playing Call of Duty, and I'd like leave halfway through the game and just go and play like Assassin's Creed or something.
Yeah.
I'd just lose interest in it.
Listen, a competitive game as well. Not a thing game. He'd leave during a competitive game.
We'd never play competitive.
I took you in League Play a lot on Black Ops 2. Don't I even got you to Masters.
No, Black Ops 2 was where I stuck at. It was when I started.
Just remember, Lloyd, don't let Dale peer pressure you into
I forgot my
play Halo with me.
Dale's interrupted. I have downloaded it.
Well, there we go then.
I've got my train of thought. Forgot.
No, it's interesting. It's an interesting area. Very interesting area.
Yeah. Do you want to get academic? I've been doing because obviously I do the marketing and stuff. So I'm reading this book, and and it was like saying about so there's this guy called something Lowry. I can't remember his name, but he designed all the different. I can't remember his first name. And he did all the art, the designs for the first cars, not the first cars, but where they started to look egg shaped and stuff. Okay. And he came up with a concept where it was things need to be similar but unfamiliar at the same time, if that makes sense. And that it just got me thinking of that. Then I'll have to find his name, but book's all over there.
Book 7 steps behind me.
I'm not doing that. I'll Google it because Google's a book.
Yes, Google is a book.
Raymond Lowy. I don't know.
I was thinking, what was Will Smith's character in Bad Boys? Was it Mike Lowry?
Yeah,
Michael Lowry.
So that's
great film. Great.
Big eyes for a nice
fish. Great movies.
Sorry,
guys.
Take us away.
Yeah, come on. You come with me. We've had enough of this. So I think probably the question that follows on from there is, before we talk on that, I mean, that was a really interesting kind of. It wasn't entirely a tangent, so I think that was a useful discussion. But the point I actually wanted to come on to kind of next was the.
Let's do tangents. We don't do tangents.
We rambling.
We 1,000% do tangents. So sorry, but most impactful games is kind of what I think that leads on to, because talking about how it shapes you, and then whether you stick in a niche or whether you branch out and stuff. So what stuff? What's most impactful? And I'm going to go to Dale first. Just because.
Back in the day, and when I say the day, I mean 1983, there was a game called Coca-Cola. And I shot Pepsi, and now all I drink is Pepsi, so subconscious. Nah, I'm joking. Never played that game.
Is this impactful for us, or
for us, I think.
Is this, or in general?
I think for us.
Yeah, I mean, because and I suppose this is one, anyone who's listening, if you, particularly anyone who's watching on YouTube, if you want to comment and answer these questions yourself about what was the most impactful for you. I mean, there might be ones that impacted not just you, but the other people like you gamed with, your friends, and so so there was that sort of one. But it's got to be subjective if we're talking about how it shaped us as gamers. So
one that I could throw out for me and Lloyd straight away is Oblivion. Just knock that out the door, because that was huge. And you mentioned our friend Jay. Was where I actually first saw Oblivion. Probably your copy. You never know.
It probably no. That's how we argued over the ending.
Yeah, we did. But I played it on Jay's first.
Did I lend? I must have not lent it to him then. He must have had it, and I just completed it for him. I don't know.
Anyway,
it was years ago.
that's actually the game that got me and Lloyd to be best friends, because we argued over what was the best racing class to be. I can't remember what my points were. I can't remember.
Mine was probably Argonian because he had a tail.
I'm pretty sure mine was Nords.
Possibly.
I've always played Nords, but in terms of impactful games, ones that have impacted my the stuff that I even do today is Black Ops 2 was a massively impactful game for me. Because it opened my eyes to the worlds of esports, because I started watching all the competitive stuff. I played the league play constantly. I was in very, very amateur teams and was playing in the game battle scene and stuff like that. And it was I think it was one of the first awakenings where I thought, oh damn, gaming can actually be a career. You know? That was the first time where I thought, oh, this thing that I enjoy can be something. I'm not going to be a competitor now. I am not good enough at anything to be a competitor now. Unless procrastinating is a competition, then I'm sorry, I blow you all out the water. But yeah, I think Black Ops 2 is a massively impactful game for me, and Dynasty Warriors, but I don't know which one. It'd probably be 5. Would you say, Lloyd?
I reckon 5.
Because I remember playing the others, and I played them loads, but 5's one that
3.
Yeah, I wanted to say 3 at first, but I remember 5 and 3 the most.
Yeah.
And because I was a really sick kid, I was in hospital loads, so much as a child. And they'd wheel the TV over to you, and my dad would bring my console in, I played Dynasty Warriors, and I know there's something as a kid playing as one guy beating up thousands and thousands of people when you're a sick kid in the hospital. They were special little moments, you know. That's getting quite deep now.
Stale's turn.
This hallmark moment has been brought to you by Hallmark.
Those two are I'd still say that it's quite a thing saying the COD game was one of the most impactful, but Black Ops 2 was a huge, because even with Lauren, my wife, well, now wife, back then she wouldn't have been, we started watching the competitive scene together, and it was something that we both enjoyed, and we still enjoy to this day. So it's just, I don't know, it introduced me to something massive, you know, that I love now. So
emotional. Right, how can I top this?
How can I blow this away?
You have to bring us to genuine tears.
My legs. I'm pretty sure you've mentioned an impactful game on the channel, haven't you, before?
Messenger, yeah. So I was literally just thinking that, yeah. So yeah, I've probably said it before, so I'm going to bore you with the same bloody story again. The Messenger, yeah, it was the first game where, well, Limbo, the Messenger was the first game that I really, really got into indie games and changed my sort of concept of how I would pick games. But Limbo was probably as well up there with that. So I loved that game. Loved it. And it was it was the first one where I was kind of I don't have to play whatever's cool. So those two games are quite impactful for me. Yeah, I'm not gonna bore you with the same story. Yeah, Oblivion has to be there. Call of Duty World at War it was Call of Duty World at War, sorry, was when I started to get into FPSs.
I never played World at War.
Yeah, he did play with me. Oh no, it was Lauren. I used to play with Lauren a lot, and I used to slay on that game. And then, what was the one after it? There was the more modern one. Was it?
Was it Black Ops 2 after World at War?
Might have been. I don't know. It was one of them. But that was when I got when I got drunk and camped in the window and got a very nasty message. Yeah. So those, I don't know. Yeah, those are probably my picks.
Oh, Modern Warfare 2, sorry, was after
Modern Warfare 2, yeah, that was the one where I camped and got a nasty message.
I didn't play Modern Warfare 2 much either. They were my Battlefield days.
Oh, were they? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Battlefield's in there as well, because I used to high-five tanks.
You did. We'll leave it at that. People don't know what that means, but he used to high-five tanks. It was incredible. What about you, Phil? What's the most impactful game that you can remember?
Well, for me, I mean, there's kind of two that I was thinking of, both in relation to, particularly if it's talking about how they shaped us as a person. Sorry, was I really loud?
No. It got to a point. Do you know when, when your earphones are on for so long, your ears start to ache?
And he did it, and I don't have those no more. So I was like,
yeah, sorry. If I do it, just ignore me.
Because you both took your headphones off, or even, I thought I'd blown into the mic and blown your ears out or something.
No.
I was mocking Lloyd. I was.
Fair enough. But yeah, no. In relation to, I think, kind of my love of telling stories and writing stuff, because that's one of the other things that kind of is dictated, kind of where I want to go in life and things that interest me. And Sonic, I know I keep going on about Sonic and go back to Sonic in these games, but
Sonic Underground.
That was probably the first experience that I had of not just sort of being interested in something in one form of media. So I played the game, but say there was comics and then there was TV shows and everything else, but also on top of that and from that, telling my own, I drew a lot of fan comics and my own sorts of things, and that led into writing stories, and then even from not just from Sonic but from other games. So I remember, for example, a creative writing assignment in English in high school. I ended up doing, basically, was just fan fiction of the game Commandos, if anyone remembers that, the PC strategy game. And then but I think those sorts of things led into definitely sort of me telling stories and that sort of thing, and wanting to do that creatively a lot more, which sounds really pretentious. Well, this is how Sonic the Hedgehog led me to be a creative individual, but I mean, it did. So there we go. And then the other thing relating to that, jumping forward, I think Tomb Raider 2 was the first game where I'd played it and also been really invested in watching what story was unfolding in it. That happened more and more, and obviously Tomb Raider 2 wasn't the greatest story in the world, but I think that was the first time I'd done something, and I was this isn't just me, bouncing on things' heads, and this is something I'm playing, but there's also a story and stuff. So I think that impact in terms of starting something, I think those two would be my picks for that.
So you're saying bouncing on heads in Sonic and Mario didn't have story? They didn't have the environmental storytelling that drove the narrative of the. I'm losing where I'm going with this.
I get where you're going. It absolutely did, because I could, not on the podcast, elsewhere, I could give you a whole sort of endless rant about what the true canon of Sonic the Hedgehog is and why it did start with him being a brown hedgehog and all this sort of stuff. That's not for the. If you do want to hear that, I'll happily.
How many cartridge combinations are in the true canon?
The true canon, as far as in my head, is based on the Sonic the Comic, the UK version of the Sonic comics, because the American Archie one was slightly different, and also there was a bunch of paperback books released. we are diving into a rabbit hole here as far as this goes, but we'll leave that out.
Lloyd looks shocked.
It's paperback. Shocked. They're not hardcover. They're paperback.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I can't see any like the kids who are reading it walking around with this thick tome. It's just easy like little.
Just the A to Z of the anatomy of Sonic.
Yeah. It's probably
fast, kids.
Probably better if a Sonic book isn't something that you could brain someone with.
He's called Dr. Egghead for a reason.
You're running around braining people with Sonic books.
I didn't do that, promise. But yeah, so that's my impactful games, I suppose, and that also kind of brings us neatly to the end of the games that got us into gaming segments of the show, unless there's any final thoughts on that front.
I didn't get to go on a Monster Hunter rant or a Dynasty Warriors 9 rant.
Don't let him. Don't let
him. It's okay.
Stop him. Stop him, Phil!
I think he's stopped. It's fine. So before we finish, we talk about the news. There's been quite a few things in the news.
Yeah, boy.
Shall I do a jingle for the news?
No, please don't.
Like do UnCapt news. Do. We're talking about the news. Do. It's UnCapt news. News with UnCapt. Yeah.
It's news.
You'll regret doing that when that appears on social media everywhere.
I'm an idiot by nature. I don't mind.
Fair enough. Well,
please don't put it on social media.
It will be. Don't worry.
Please don't let my parents see it.
Do you want to kick off the new, like, what news has been of interest to yourself then?
Me? Wow. Oh, have I got some news for you? And it's about my only game that I ever played, Jurassic World Evolution 2. The first DLC was announced. It's cool. And it's got the cutest dinosaur ever. So it's like a little ankylosaurus called the Minmai. I'm pronouncing that right, I hope. And it's just adorable. And I'm going to buy it simply just for that. So yeah. And now it's adorable, isn't it? It's beautiful. Yeah. And there's just like updates and stuff, but that's my key news. Other than that, we got Prehistoric Kingdom closed beta coming out, which I'm not privy to, but it means that game is moving forward. And Jurassic World has introduced the first like prehistoric mammal into its like lore or whatever. In the Camp Cretaceous thing, there's a saber-toothed character, a saber-toothed tiger. Yeah, it's what they call Smilodons, which is really cool. That's cool. Awesome news. Yeah. Imagine megalodons, or imagine bloody woolly mammoths, which are in Prehistoric Kingdom. But so it's a really cool possibility, and it's something that they could do. And there's something that's blown my mind.
Did you ever watch Walking with Beasts as a kid?
Yeah,
those
weird dog things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't remember what they were called, but yeah,
somewhere. I'll have to dig it out. But yeah, that'd be cool to see in Jurassic World. Hopefully, they move away from dinosaurs. I want original.
But no, it's in I'm not sure if you watched the Camp Cretaceous series.
No,
it's like it's aimed towards kids, but it's pretty good. But it's like the season 3. They find a new island which is not any of the 5 deaths, which is cool. And it's got dinosaurs on it and stuff, and there's like a hidden base. It's probably Woo. Woo's done something stupid again.
Yeah, Woo.
We don't trust Woo.
No one trusts Woo.
Yeah, that's
saying that on the stream. I was like, no one trusts Woo.
You were saying it in my stream as well. I was like, God, Lloyd doesn't like Woo at all.
Nah, not a fan of Henry Woo. He gets everything he deserves.
He does.
I don't like the guy from the Jurassic World film, Owen Grady's boss. The
one that wants to use the raptors as like trained dogs.
He's really annoying.
Didn't he get eaten though?
Character.
Or am I misremembering that? Did he get eaten?
Maybe.
Yeah, he got eaten by a raptor. Yeah.
It's just the thing of it just feels like they have no common sense.
It's not even that. It's just his voice. His voice grows through me. Like, just stop speaking.
It's just the common sense. It's like, listen, Owen, you've got that T-Rex. What do you reckon we could do? Do you reckon we can mount a minigun to the top of her? Would that work? Would she be able to operate a minigun, Owen? Owen, listen to me. I think she can. And it's like, no, her hands wouldn't be able to do it. I think we could make the machine, Owen.
He sounds like a couple of my managers.
I mean, you joke, but this does bring to... Was there a comic or a cartoon or something that basically was dinosaurs with machine guns mounted to them and people rode them?
Yeah. Oh,
Digimon.
No, there was toys. There were
Dino Riders, was it?
I remember the toys.
Or was Dino Riders something else?
Oh, I gotta find a picture of those toys. I will, and I will. Yeah. Anyway,
but
that's
I mean,
my news.
That seems like a interesting note to end that particular piece on. What about you, Lloyd? What news do you want to bring to the table?
Respawn is taking Titanfall 1, the original Titanfall, from sale from this week. And then, starting today, Wednesday, the 1st of December. And then from all subscription services on the 1st of March next year. I just thought this was interesting because we've never actually, I don't think we've had an announcement about games being taken off, have we?
I don't think we do. We got the Twitter account and the website that tells you discontinued games, but I don't think they go public.
It's very odd. It's very odd.
Are they expecting a backlash on that? Because I did see a few angry tweets in response, but
Titanfall 2 is the better game. Titanfall 2, we've said about before, like Titanfall 2 is like one of the most underrated games because of bad release dates and stuff. But they've said it's at the heart of what they want to do, and it's going to be at the heart of everything they do in the future.
Titanfall 3, baby.
Yeah, I get a feeling they're going to be working on something.
Do you know that could be one of the announcements at the Game Awards, because that's something that people want really bad.
What was Respawn's last game? Was it Fallen Jedi?
Kingdom, yeah, Fallen Kingdom. I know they're working on another game like that, right?
Yeah, they're working on another Star Wars game.
Actually?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
If Titanfall 1 has got I know you said 2 is the better game, but there's like a dedicated kind of community playing it, and then
you can still play it.
You can still play it. The service is still up,
unless you had it on a subscription service, presumably, in which case the rug's been pulled from under you. Which goes back to something we mentioned previously, I think, about why people prefer to own the actual sort of...
Would it be, though? Because it's just not for sale anymore.
But they pulled it from subscription services as well, they said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they are going to be. So because it was announced today, I don't know, because it does say they're removing it today. So you can't buy it from today now, which is quite odd. But then, are the sales going to be that high still? Because it was released like 7 years ago.
I highly doubt it.
So yeah, and like I said, Titanfall 2's out. So
yeah, other than the dedicated player base, which I'm not sure if Titanfall 1 does have.
Yeah, I'm not.
Other than maybe like speedrunners and stuff.
That's why I thought the subscription, because that's the one, like, not selling it anymore is one thing, whereas not having it on subscription services seems like the thing that would actively stop people who are already playing it.
Yeah, I thought they would have done it the other way around. I thought they would have taken off subscription first and then kind of said you have to buy it to carry on playing.
I mean, at this point, like, who cares?
I just think it's interesting because there's
it's interesting, but it's one of those ones I think that affects very little people, but people are still just going to be mad about it for the sake of being mad. Like, just play Titanfall 2, like, or play Apex. Apex is amazing.
But on the other side of that, I mean, was it the head of Xbox who said that was a strong advocate for like making more older games available, like to kind of preserve gaming history and stuff? That probably falls under the same.
Yeah, I suppose there is an argument for gaming history. It's crazy the amount that my opinion sways in these podcasts. It goes one way, and then someone says something like, "Oh, Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, that's because you start from the like, what will be the thing that can just like cause a controversy in this?
Yeah, video game history is an interesting topic. Maybe that should be something we touch upon.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing.
Get our glasses on. Get all academic.
Absolutely.
Become. Yeah, and the other one I wanted to share is Valve has confirmed that the Steam Deck won't have any exclusives as well, which I thought is quite interesting considering the whole power that Steam has in terms of games going on there and stuff. Because obviously, so I don't know whether you know how the Steam Deck is going to work, but they're going to be deck verified games that can go onto the Steam Deck. But obviously Steam, a lot of games are just on Steam anyway. Not because Valve have exclusive rights or anything, just because it's the most popular PC store at the moment.
Presumably, is that more likely to be games made by small teams who haven't got the publishing behind them to put them on consoles and whatever else?
There's a couple of larger studios that I know are just on Steam. So I don't know. It'd be interesting because GOG have also just announced as well that they're making a massive loss, even though Project Red are making millions.
Bleeding, isn't they? But their whole thing is DRM free game. Guess it's not that big of a deal to a lot of people.
I don't think it is, and I think the UI doesn't help on GOG.
No, GOG's UI is not good.
It's not great at all. But I don't think CD Projekt Red are putting money into it as much as they should be to compete. Like, no one's going to compete with Steam at the moment, but like, it's just insane. But I don't know. Yeah.
I suppose there's an argument that Epic kind of competes with Steam, but
again, same level though.
No, I don't think so. I was trying to think of things that would. But
I think Epic think they do.
Epic think they're like leading everything. Yeah. Like, we give them a free game every now and again. They all love us. Like,
that's literally all we're there for, guys.
No, that's all I do is download your free games. I never play them. But yeah, it's interesting. I kind of assumed that it wouldn't though. It was one of those that I just assumed there wouldn't be any thing games for,
exclusives.
Yeah, I just assumed.
I don't know because like it is one of the I think Valve have used it as this like clever sort of tactic because
look at us, we're not.
Yeah, and it's like, but you've got such a big pulling power that you haven't got any exclusives, but it's just like
they could,
but they
could have massive exclusives,
but they have exclusives in a weird way, if that makes sense. It's different from what like Sony are doing.
Yeah, because you have to go out to get like a Sony or a Microsoft. Well, I suppose Xbox exclusive. You have to go out of your way and buy the console that's on and stuff like that. Yeah. Whereas if you've got
only PlayStation and Switch now.
Well, I mean, yeah, but if you're on PC, there's not like you can. If something's exclusive to Steam and not on GOG, then you just go on Steam. There's no real kind of like. Whereas if you wanted something to be exclusive to the Steam Deck, there'd have to be proof for whoever was making that deal that there's going to be a return on it. Like there's some serious selling power because people buy PlayStations, people buy Xboxes. We've not really seen proof that people will buy the Steam Deck in that great numbers.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It is interesting.
But yeah, I want to know how they're going to verify what they're going to pick how they're going to pick for the deck verified as well.
Probably come down to console controls.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah, so you're not going to have Command and Conquer on.
That's the thing, though. It's got a touchscreen, though, haven't it? So and apparently it works like a mouse. So,
and you've got the touchpads on the side as well.
That's the one. Touchpads on the side. Yeah.
But see, even having a laptop, I hate using that. Like, even if I've got my laptop, I'll plug a mouse in because I hate those touchpads.
Yeah.
It would be cool if you could get like a little portable keyboard and mouse for the Steam Deck.
So you'd have a gaming laptop.
A gaming laptop, but
it's
just handheld.
£500 more.
it's bound to be doable because you can, although they're not like officially licensed, though, you can technically get like a keyboard and mouse for like to plug into a PlayStation or I don't know whether you can do it for the Switch, but presumably you can do it for.
I doubt you can't do much with the Switch. They don't like modding much.
It was weird how like Nintendo went from like one side to everything must like kind of go on this thing. Like there was just loads of different gimmicks, and now there's just like there's barely anything for the Switch. Weird. But yeah, that's my news for the day.
Well, the one that kind of caught my eye was we don't know exactly how it'll shape up yet, and but there's a bill being put through Congress, which is not. Again, on a gaming podcast, not usually how we'd start. So there's a bill being put through Congress, but it's specifically to ban the use of console scalper bots. So that whole thing that we've had where you can't get a PS5 or a Series X for love nor money, just because they're all being bought up and then being sold at these massive prices by these bots. And it's not just console. I think they're doing the same. Like on the last thing I saw was that tickets for Spider-Man No Way Home are being like sold at extortionate prices as well. But they're trying to ban them, which I can't see as being a bad thing in any possible. I think there's only good sides of stopping people doing this, but
stopping people from being dicks.
Yeah, whether it'll actually succeed, I don't know, and then whether it's enforceable across. Presumably, if it's outlawed in the US, then there's ways to do it through foreign proxies or whatever. But it still seems to be recognising that it's a problem.
Yeah, it is. It is a first step, and it's nice. I think that it is going to be a bill. Whether it actually happens, because it's not. It's just being put through, and it's not. It's not actually.
Yeah, I don't understand exactly how these things work in America. Like, say, my only frame of reference is what happens with Parliament, where it takes like forever.
Years, yeah, it goes through like 6 of the Queen's bodyguards and stuff.
Yeah, and they have to do like 4 or 5 different readings of the bill and all this sorts of stuff, and go between the different. I don't know. I'm presuming it's something similar to that, but
yeah.
So it'll be interesting. By the time it's passed, you probably will be able to get a PlayStation 5 or a Series X.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. But it's interesting because one of the companies, I can't remember if it was Nvidia or someone else, they said they're looking at a shortage for another year. On somewhere I've read somewhere, I think it was like another year, or it's going to be a while.
On GPUs,
on the chips there apparently.
So they had a lorry full of GPUs stolen as well.
Oh Jesus!
I'm reading that, yeah. And it's a lot to do with the crypto stuff, and that's why we're not seeing the bloody crypto bros stop. We want to play games, not earn crypto monies.
Yeah, I would much prefer to be able to play games rather than have this thing which mines all this currency and then also does untold damage to the environment when we're already going to, planet's already going to burn, so just stop. Let me have a graphics card. Please.
So I have the greatest news of all time that's just popped up on my Twitter. The Lawnmowing Simulator is coming to Game Pass for PC and console. Have you seen how good it actually looks?
Do you know what? I've always wanted to be a gardener. It's just been a lifelong dream of mine. Gaming has allowed me to.
It literally just popped up, and I was like,
that reminds me. Actually, I saw something earlier saying that more people are actively playing Farming Simulator 22 than Battlefield 2042.
Yep. It looks incredible though. Farming Simulator 22 this year looks actually really good.
There's an esports or something.
There's an esports. I don't think so. I'm not quite sure. I'll have a little Google, but there's an esports for Farming Simulator. And it's hype as hell.
Presuming
incredible.
It's not speedruns. I don't know how you could speedrun farming.
The other big news I think we should brush upon before we close. Did you have any other news, Phil?
That was the main one for this week. Were you going to mention Activision or something else? Okay.
Ludwig moving from Twitch to YouTube, which is
huge.
YouTube are making moves. And Ludwig was like Twitch's little precious boy. You know what I mean?
He defended him, didn't he?
He defined that a lot of that website, that streaming service, and they've lost him, and
yeah, I think
that's huge.
I think we're going to see a massive bidding war now between those two, because like you look at like Toaster's just gone back as well to Twitch, haven't he? So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens when a lot of these contracts are up.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. Did you see his announcement video?
No.
The car. He's with his Slime, who I think his name's Slime. He streams with, and I think he's like he works with him. I'm not quite sure, but they're driving a purple car and they're just having a conversation, and then the car blows up, and then he gets into a red car and he drives off and starts playing music, and he's like, "Oh, will you get in trouble for playing music here?" And he goes, "Nope. Not in this car, buddy. Not in this car." It just drives off. It's so funny. So funny.
I think you could see by the later of his videos that he was starting to get a bit heat off with Twitch. So.
I mean, I don't think Twitch are doing well. I think YouTube will be pushing them quite a bit. YouTube a massive threat because there's a lot of things.
The last update, I when I was looking at it with all the things they did, it was very much let's get on Twitch's level, and then obviously you've got all the other stuff that YouTube already does.
Yep.
Because a lot of it was like channel points and
YouTube are coming for Twitch's throat.
Yeah, so it'd be cool to see what happens this year between the two.
Yeah, I think ultimately YouTube's going to win out over Twitch in every way. I mean, it's a bit of a weird one in terms of like the Ludwig stuff, because I mean, obviously fair play to him, he's done whatever is best for him, but there's a couple of things there. What again without just sort of recognizing we're kind of wrapping up the section, so I'm not going to get into a whole big thing. But firstly, is that it's. I mean, I recognize I'm definitely an outlier in this, but I've never really watched big streamers, because that's not some like if I'm watching someone who's like a YouTuber, you watch a video, whatever, that's fine. But if something that's live and interactive, if the chances of you being able to interact with that person in real time are basically zero, because there's 10 million people in the chat's going too fast to see. I don't kind of really see the point of that, rather than watching a VOD. So yeah, like 100 viewers would be the upper limit of the size of streamer that I generally watch personally. Obviously that's not the case for everyone, but that was always my take on it. And then the other thing is from a kind of small creator point of view, which is, I think, it's not the primary concern of YouTube or Twitch, because their primary concern is the viewer. But if the big creators are the subject of these bidding wars, basically on the same level as presumably as Premier League footballers being signed between clubs and whatever, then that just makes it see like if you're trying to start forge some sort of niche and from scratch, and you've got no chance, because you're never going you're in the Vauxhall Conference, you're never going to get into those leagues. It's going to probably, I think, make that seem even more inaccessible for like
you say that creators. Though, but I saw Ludwig did a video in which he grew another extremely popular YouTube channel out of something else, nothing to do with him. He didn't tie his name to it. He did it on the sides just to prove that it's not a lot of luck.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's a lot. Yeah, very good video. You should definitely watch that.
I'll check. I will check out. But it always seems to me it's like those whenever you read an article where someone tells you about how they bought their first home for $500,000 just by saving on a minimum wage job, and then the small print in the middle is "My parents were rich and we lived at home for 2 years." There's always some small print where something else has helped them out, so I'm kind of skeptical.
I worked 2 part jobs, but my mum and dad were able to buy half the house for me.
Yeah. It's like the self-made billionaires who already had parents on the board or whatever else. There's always a catch.
There's that one guy whose dad started his business, and he acts like he came out of the womb doing counts or something. It's just shut up.
Yeah, it's like
there's a different world out there.
Yeah.
You too can build yourself up like Elon Musk if your parents own an apartheid era lithium mine.
You too can be a millionaire if your parents give you £1 million.
Yeah, it sounds like he did a 48-hour shift fucking being born. Like, it's just...
God, that exiting the womb stuff was really difficult, so I deserve all this money.
Do you know what the worst thing was? I didn't have a 10-minute break. I got paid.
Oh.
And this has been UnCapt rant about capitalism. But yeah, any other final thoughts or points before we kind of wrap up from either of you?
Dynasty Warriors 9 was a terrible game. Please do not do that again, and please go back to the original format, which is a really fun beat-em-up game that we all loved.
Yeah.
That's the important message that we want to take away from this, so thank you for that.
Blue must have a spear.
Blue must have a spear.
Yes. Well, thank you very much to everyone for listening and or watching. If you're on YouTube, if you're not already, do subscribe to the channel, follow us on all the socials, and obviously follow the podcast because we're great and we talk about interesting stuff.
I get a notepad.
I get a notepad, as we remember from last time.
Throwbacks!
Thank you very, very much for watching and or listening, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone. We've been UnCapt. We've been UnCapt.